We have some new up-to-date sales data for used and wholesale vehicles, and I'm not going to lie, it could be better. So let's dive in. Wholesale used vehicle prices were higher in July compared to June. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index rose to 201.6, which is a decline of 4.8% from a year ago, but is a 2.8% month-over-month increase, which is definitely not a good look. According to the Senior Director of Economic Insights at Cox Automotive, in late June, wholesale value decline slowed, and that trend continued throughout July as we saw values appreciate over the course of the month. And in the month of July, 3 out of 4 weeks saw MMR values increase, which is not only higher month-over-month compared to the month of June, but it also isn't the seasonal norm for this time of year and historical averages. Over the last 4 weeks, the 3-year-old index grew by 1.1%. A half of percent came in the last week of July alone, and while all of this data isn't great, whenever we compare it to historical averages for the month of July, the data gets even worse. Because those same 4 weeks, so the 4 weeks in July, delivered an average decrease of 0.6% between 2014 and 2019. So for the 3-year-old index in 2024, it increased by 1.1% in the month of July, but pre-pandemic between 2014 and 2019, the average performance of the 3-year-old index was actually a 0.6% decrease. So 1.1% increase compared to historical averages of a 0.6% decrease. That means that this year in the month of July, not only did the car market increase, which isn't a good thing, this isn't a seasonally normal thing for the market to do, which makes it even worse. MMR retention, which is a metric that gives us an idea of whether or not cars are selling for a discount, that was at 98.6% in the month of July, which means that cars were still selling for a discount even though prices went up in the month of July overall, which is good news. And the daily sales conversion rate rose to 60.1%, a rise of 3.5 points over the last month and higher than what we normally see this time of year. For comparison, the daily sales conversion rate averaged 51.9% over the last 3 years. Now, whenever we look at the overall car market has declined by 4.8% year over year, which isn't as large of year over year decreases as we've seen in the last couple of months, which tells us that the car market is starting to level off, at least short term, which certainly isn't good news, but it's not necessarily horrible news either because the car market has to level off eventually. And while I do think that temporarily the car market has gone up and has leveled off even more, I do still think that we will see accelerated decreases throughout the rest of 2024, but only time will tell. So again, the overall car market has declined by 4.8%, but let's take a look at individual vehicle segments as well. SUVs and crossovers have declined the least with a decline of 5.2%. Pickup trucks follow closely behind them with a decline of 5.3%, followed by mid-size cars with a decline of 6%, luxury cars with a decline of 6.2%, and compact cars with a decline of 6.4%. Now, I've been doing these market report videos for a very long time, and I must say that at least in my memory, this is the closest that we've seen vehicle values trailing from one to another, with a 1.2% range between the prices with the largest declines and the prices with the highest declines. SUVs and crossovers have declined the least by 5.2%, and compact cars have declined the most by 6.4%. There have historically been points in time where there's been a 3, 4, 5% difference between types of vehicles that have declined the most versus types of vehicles that have declined the least, and so the fact that we are only seeing a 1.2% difference between the highest and lowest, that definitely says something about the car market normalizing and leveling off, at least short term. Now, looking at CarGurus, you can see here, which is the CarGurus index graph spanning over the last year from August 8th, 2023 to August 8th, 2024. And you can see that there has been some pretty sharp price declines over the last year. And according to CarGurus, their index has declined by roughly 7.5% year over year. And according to the different body style metrics with CarGurus, you can see that there has been specific types of body styles that have taken a turn, with convertibles, coupes, and sedans all seeing appreciation in the last 30 days, and convertibles and coupes seeing appreciation in the last 90 days, and even coupes seeing appreciation year over year. But whenever we scroll down to different makes and models, you can see that there is definitely a shift in this current car market compared to last month or even the month prior. There are more than normal cars seeing month-over-month appreciation, 90-day appreciation, and even a handful seeing year-over-year appreciation. Granted, most year-over-year appreciation is coming from luxury brands like Rolls-Royce, Porsche, Ferrari, Bentley, but we are seeing a handful of normal everyday brands like Genesis, Lexus, Mini, and even Tesla and Volvo seeing month-over-month appreciation. The brands that are seeing appreciation are the brands that are overperforming compared to the overall market, at least short-term, but you can still see that there are a number of brands that are seeing more than 1% declines in the last month. For example, Fiat, Chrysler, Maserati, and Mazda, and there are a number of others that have declined by roughly 0.5%. For example, Ram, Nissan, Toyota has declined very, very slightly, and the Wagoneer is one of the larger losers with a decline of 1.68%. To me, what an index like the Car Guru's Used Vehicle Value Index is telling me is that the car market is absolutely starting to normalize, and we aren't seeing these huge swings in the market like we saw this time last year or in 2022 or 2021. We are seeing 1, maybe 2% declines or appreciations over the last 30 to 90 days, and that's pretty much what we're seeing. And to be honest, I think unless something large happens economically, like a major recession, I think that these are the types of trends that we will continue to see for the time being. Maybe value increases of 0.5% there, declines of a percentage point there. I think the days of us seeing 3, 4, 5, 6% declines in value over the course of a relatively short period of time, those days are over. At least that's my opinion. But you know, one of my favorite things to say in these market report videos is the fact that you can talk about the value of a car all day long and how much a car is worth, but at the end of the day, what really matters is if a car is actually selling for that price. So let's head over to Cars.com and let's take a look at some of the different types of vehicles that are for sale, how long they're being listed for, and how many price reductions they have, which gives us, I think, the best indication of where market demand is sitting and whether or not cars are actually being sold. So we've selected what could be reflective of the average used car market. A minimum price of $20,000, maximum of $40,000, with a minimum year of 2020 and a maximum year of 2023, sort of to reflect that 3-year-old index. And you know, if you've watched my market report videos before, you can probably automatically see that we aren't seeing a ton of cars that are showing price reductions or are showing as great deals. So I scoured Cars.com to find some cars that could be considered really good deals, and this is a 2020 Jeep Renegade that is advertised as being a good deal. To be honest, I don't love this car because of the fact that it's getting discontinued by Jeep, and I'm not a huge fan of buying cars that are about to be discontinued, but this car is advertised as just under $22,000 with mileage of 12,381 miles. And you can see here that this car has had a $298 price reduction in the last 21 days, which if you were to ask me is far too little considering the vehicle. We have this 2020 Fiat 500, a car that has a ton of inventory and not a lot of demand here in the United States. It's listed for $22,500 and it has 8,200 miles. And if we scroll down, you can see that this car has been listed for 34 days and has seen $299 in price reduction. Definitely not great. Even Tesla price reductions have started to cool as the market has already taken into account the price reductions that we saw last year. This 2021 Tesla Model Y long range, which has 45,000 miles, is listed for $32,702. And while sure, this is a clean Tesla Model Y, it is very literally a dime a dozen, and there are tons of them exactly like this for sale throughout the country. And if we look here, you can see that it's been listed for sale for 14 days and has seen $556 in price reduction. Not terrible, especially considering the fact that it has only been listed for 2 weeks. Now, I scoured Cars.com to try to find some vehicles that had larger price reductions, something in the $3,000 to $5,000 realm, if not more. And what I found is that there just aren't a ton of options, and the options available to you aren't super great. This 2023 Volkswagen Tiguan is listed for $26,230, which is granted considered a good deal, but it took a $3,732 price reduction and 77 days on the market to get it there. This Jeep Wrangler, which is considered to be a great deal and is listed for $36,718, it's seen over $5,000 in price reductions in only 8 days. But let's be realistic here. The current state of Stellantis paired with the inventory situation of Jeep should absolutely be discounting their cars left and right, so I am by no means impressed by a $5,000 price reduction because they should be reducing prices. And if you're really desperate for a car that has a steep discount, then you could take a look at this 2023 Fisker Ocean 1, which is listed for $26,794. And over the last 76 days, it has been reduced in price by $8,196. listed back in May and reduced in price every couple of weeks ever since. But truthfully, I think this Fisker Ocean is a perfect example of the fact that price reductions isn't the only indicator that you should be taking into account whenever you're looking to buy a car, because even with $8,000 in price reductions, that Fisker Ocean is still far too expensive, and I wouldn't touch that car with a 10-foot pole, and neither should you. Now, whenever it comes to what this means for the average car buyer and what this means for the car market as a whole, truthfully, not much. I'm not entirely surprised by the fact that we saw an increase in sales in the month of July, more than we expected, because of the fact that June was such an odd month for the car market because of CDK outages. And I think we'll have a much better idea with the August and September data to see where the used and wholesale market is actually trending. In the current state of the car market as of July, I don't think is super indicative to how the car market is going to trend for the rest of the year. Now, one thing that I will say is that one thing I've noticed as somebody who buys a lot of cars is that private party sales through platforms like Facebook Marketplace has become even better for the buyer. I've noticed personally that there are more people who are just looking to sell their car because they're desperate to get rid of it than what I saw earlier this year in 2024. And just in the last 30 to 60 days, I've purchased a few cars for well below market value. Factors that I do think are going to heavily impact the car market moving forward is going to be interest rates. It has been hinted by the Fed that interest rates may be cut in the month of September. And while I don't think that this cut will have a massive impact on the affordability of a car, I think it could have a big impact on the perception of affordability. People will think to themselves, oh, I've been waiting for rate cuts in order to buy a car, so let's go ahead and make that purchase. And I think that that could, in the short term, increase demand in the car market. The other issue is the topic of a recession, which is something I've talked about a lot in my videos. And I do think that the topic of recession fears have started to accelerate in recent weeks, kind of going along hand in hand with the discussion of a rate cut. And I do think that a recession could absolutely impact the car market as a whole. And that's because the last thing somebody's going to want to do, and really the last thing they should do if they're worried about losing their job, is buying a used or new car. And so truthfully, I think in the next 6 months, even though interest rates should be cut and that will make the affordability of a car go down, I don't think that will cause a huge amount of surplus in demand because of the fact that recession fears will still exist, and they probably will accelerate as rates get cut. And so if I was a betting person, I would bet that the car market continues to decline throughout 2024. I think demand will continue to decline, I think automakers' performance will decline, and I think vehicle affordability will increase, which is a great thing. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.